In today's episode, we're going to look at the mods that help me make this, help me make creatures like this, and help me achieve scientific creations like this. Welcome to Golem's Tutorials. And this episode, we are going to look into the MOB HEAD add-on by Two Tail Productions, which is owned, obviously, by Mr. Foxy himself. You always get started off with this book. We don't need it. So let's toss that away. And we're going to get on with some fancy builds, which we're going to do in step by step, so I can show you how these things work. First of all, we're going to need the MOB HEAD wrench. So this is going to come in very helpful for doing editing and stuff. Now you can use different coloured dyes to make MOB heads change, but I prefer you to use this. Now let's go and have a look at the MOB HEAD selection that we have. So this is the grand old selection of MOB heads. Now some of these are rare, so as soon as you see a rare one, like the warden, he's a very rare one, so I'm going to just chuck him in there. And you do get little creatures like armadillos and stuff. So I'm just going to show you quickly what these guys look like, so you can have a brief idea of what we are dealing with. So very, very hard to get, but obviously you get one pretty much all the time. Let's just play around with this. So you can change the scale of it, so you can make it large one, which that is roughly probably warden head's height, or you can change it to a baby sized warden head, which yeah, it looks alright. Now these things are extremely helpful. I will tell you, you can change your rotation of it, so if you wanted to do 45 degrees on an X angle, you make it do that. Now this is what helps you create the shapes that you need. You can also do the movement, so you can move it up and down, X, Z, basically wherever you place it in the world, you'll be able to move it. So if I put plus X, it'll move it towards me, so that means minus X, which pull it this way. So you just have to figure out which way you're going. So first, you need a more of a placer block than anything. So if you place a placer block, and what I'm thinking is, this warden head is quite good as, say, maybe an armor. So what I want to do first is just see what angle it is at. So we always work, so it's 90, 180, 270. So it needs to be 270. It's my maths off. That is straight on. So if you go to your angles, and I think we're going to want to make it, scale it up a little bit, and that'll make a great body. So let's just get rid of this. And that, I think we're going to start off with that as a body. So what I'm going to do now is just play around, adding some bits and pieces, and I'll bring you back and show you what sort of creature I have come up with. So far we have a design that looks like this. So we used the Ravager head as a big head, so I need to put a neck in that. We've got a couple of the Guardians shoulder pads. Now I love the creaking heads because they make really long and quite interesting arm shapes. And then we just put the pole. So basically you look at a creature and then you try and decide what sort of story it would have. So I wanted something that's big, bulky, and it creates this sort of horned guard type thing. And I think this guy will look quite good down in mazes or guarding temples. So anyway, I'll finish up this, and then I'll bring you back and we'll show you the finished product, and then we'll work on maybe computers, or maybe creating other sort of weird and wonderful passive creatures. We'll see. It's a perfect timing for this creature that I have created. Now I have added quite a few little bits and pieces. We ended up using horses' heads as knees and rabbit heads as the feet, and I think that worked out quite well. Now it takes time, so don't get frustrated as you're doing it, because this took me probably about half an hour just to create this basic sort of creature. Now you've got the pose, and I quite like it. Obviously you still see the heads, you see the eyes, but I think it gives it a nice silhouette, and it's got a nice codpiece Now let's just have a look around the back, because he's got burns. Yes, I have created a few buttocks, but it gives him this overall hunched guard look, and I like this thing a lot. So now let's try figure out if we can build a horse-like creature. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll work out what we've got. So let's go back into the menu and look at the heads. So we've got all of these heads. Now, horse-like creatures have long, weird legs, so it looks like we're going to be using the creaking heads again. Do we use white heads? We could make quite a large dog. That might be interesting. So let's figure this out now, and I'll come back once this large dog is done, because get the idea in your head first, get the head, place it down, see what it looks like, and then draw a rough shape, say on a piece of paper, and create this shape and story. So I'll come back after I've designed this dog, and then we'll try some mob head magic on sci-fi creations. And with a little bit of ingenuity, you could come up with something like this. Now, something in this style, there is a lot of mob heads, and obviously you've got a bit of movement with it. And part of the reason why things take so long is because you need to move things up, scale things, and position things. But I think overall it gives you this lovely shape, this lovely sort of cool look. But that is more of a passive mob, like a dire wolf or something. I quite like it. So obviously look at natural things that you see around you, animals and creatures, and you can come up with some quite cool things. So I promised you some alternative builds, so let's go and see what I've done. Let's start off with the computer room. Now these are so helpful, and if you can get it right, the angles and stuff work perfectly. Now we have a golem, copper golem's head, which looks brilliant as a sort of controller stick, and you could always put a redstone block underneath just to light it up. Now obviously I've used a armor stand to create the screen, but then we've used some villager heads, just put them at slight angles, which gives these quite cool sort of goggly looking things. This is a goat's head. The problem is, and I'll tell you now, if you lower it slightly too far, you lose the colour, but I wanted these to be black and they work out well. Then we've got this, obviously there's a breeze head, but it looks like a screen. So if you roll them around just enough, they look like screens. That looks like a globe, and that looks like another globe. And then here's another trick. Now you can use these heads and you can sit on them, so you can make chairs. Now this is a strider head, and if you lower it down just enough, it works quite well as a cushion. Obviously we're going to have the cushions out soon, but this is perfect if you haven't got that ready to hand just yet. But yeah, this is the computer setup, which is pretty cool. So now let's go and show you some alternative outside builds, because these will be amazing for your world. Now I've got a few bits and pieces over here which I have just prepared. So we're going to work from left to right, and I'll show you the best things to work with. So this is sort of like a rubbish dump, so you've got like blocks with mushrooms growing out of it. Obviously they're the skeletons that you find in the bogs and stuff. Then you've also got the guardians, which make quite good sort of like cannonballs. And then this is a skeleton horse head, which I thought looked quite cool as, let's say, like a bottle. And then if you shrink down the armadillos, they look like tiny mice, and I think they look pretty cool. And then I think we've got a witherhead, just a box maybe, but yeah, they come in very helpful to create like piles of rubbish and other tiny details for your world. Now next is creating lights. Now if you pick the right version of the heads and just sink them down just enough, they make really cool headlights. I use these quite a lot. You can put them on top, you can put them at the front, but it's really cool when you need those just enough size to create lights, and I think they work very well. So imagine if you put orange ones at the side, if you can find an orange mob head, that'll be like indicators. Now, we've all had this trouble creating a medium wheel. Like, you can have, I'm just going to do it for an example, a wheel like that, obviously not that, and it sometimes feels too small, and then you can have a 3x3 to create like a center bit, and that is really annoying. So the best thing you can do with the mob heads is just raise it up a little bit, and this one is an iron golem head. Tilt it and then slot it straight into the center, and that gives you your wheel bearing in the central. And now, if you've got a busy city, you can create these sort of drains with poles on, so you could have a worker there pulling it up. And just as you probably can see, you've got a little enderman looking from inside a drain. I quite like the look of this. I think it looks quite cool, quite menacing. It works really well. So if you want, stick some of them in your world. Be amazing. And guys, I hope you've managed to get some ideas of what you can do with mob heads, because these things are amazing. I love them to bits, and they come in so helpful when you want to do detailing work or create random creatures. And I would love to see some of your examples of your work by using the mob heads. Just go over to our Discord and send them over so we can all have a look, and everybody will appreciate what you've done, because they're all a supportive, really supportive group for people. But please don't forget to drop a like, because I love doing these tutorials. This is my second now, and I'm hopefully going to do more with some more of the mods that I've got. And don't forget to drop me a massive subscribe and like we always say. And obviously I can't wait to see your stuff. Stay crafty!